My cello teacher has a way of asking me what seems at first sight to be a simple question. What are you thinking when you're doing this, that, or the next thing? The question could refer to the way I hold the bow, or how I draw it across the strings, or what my left hand is doing, or what are my fingers doing when they encounter the strings. Provocative and informing. What am I thinking? What my mood happens to be, or what my state of mind is at any given moment. How am I sitting? They all feed into the quality of the sound that my cello produces. And that sound accurately portrays something about my own state of being. And I mean being with a capital B. The possibilities provoked by this mode of question are endless. The question, what do you think about when, is a valuable entry I have discovered into profound reflection. What do you think about when you enter the church? When you sit perhaps in a moment of silent preparation prior to enjoining the mysteries of faith? And if you think about God, what are you thinking? What do you think about when you take the host in your hand? Long before he was a saint or bishop, the 4th century Cyril of Jerusalem said, in approaching, make your left hand a throne for the right. As for that which is to receive a king. And after having carefully hallowed your eyes by the touch of the holy body, partake of it. Well, that's a practice to which many of us adhere. But what are you thinking when you do that? And what are we doing when we hallow our eyes? We hold God in the palms of our hands, both literally and metaphorically. And that is the nature of sacrament. Impossibly possible. Richard Kearney suggests that one of the most telling ways in which the infinite comes to be experienced and imagined by finite minds is as possibility, and that is as the ability to be. Now that's a curious phrase to adopt about God, but Kearney is not trying to offer us some kind of recently discovered master word by which we might unlock the ancient secrets of divine nature. Rather, it's a kind of poetic conjecture with which we might exercise our spiritual muscles. Many scriptural passages inform us that what is impossible for us is possible for God. John's prologue tells us that our ability to become sons of God in the kingdom is made possible by God. Light shone in the darkness, and to all who received it was given the possibility, the Greek word is dunamis here, given the possibility to become sons of God. Now here it's crucial for us to keep in mind that the Greek term dunamis translates as either power or possibility, a device of semantic ambivalence that is similar to John's use of the Greek pneuma, which, as you know, translates as either wind or spirit. And the Gospels are full of metaphors, images, parables, symbols, deployed to communicate the eschatological promise in which the God of small things is vibrantly active. Yeast in flour, pearl of great price, mustard seed growing into the largest tree in the world, poetic license here, in which the birds of the sky can roost. And of course, an infant. Big things grow from little things, minute things. The little things are imbued with possibility, a possibility only realized when some other agency cooperates. The baker crafts the dough. The pearl is sold at the market. The farmer plants the mustard seed and nurtures its growth. The mother nurtures the infant from the very genesis of conception. The cellist plays the cello. There is, as it were, a gift exchange, the mystery of growth between the human agent and the little thing. Christ became a little thing, the least of these, when he emptied himself of absolute power. The Greek word for that is kenosis, echoing Isaiah's striking phrase, "A bruised reed he will not break, and a dimly burning wick he will not quench. He will faithfully bring forth justice." Gospel also hath it that the judgment of the kingdom is related to how we respond in history, here and now, to the least of these. Which brings us to the paradox and another ambiguity in paradigms, that although the kingdom has already come and is incarnate here and now in the loving gestures of Christ, and all those who give or receive a cup of water for that matter, it still remains a possibility yet to come. As eternal, the kingdom transcends all chronologies of time. Christ indicated this when he said, "Before Abraham was, I am." In short, the kingdom, one, is already there as a historical possibility, and two, it is not there as a historically realized kingdom come on earth. Now, I've been taking merciless shortcuts here, but I'm steering towards the idea that creation may be depicted as an endless giving of possibility. Shortly before her death in Auschwitz, the Dutch-born Etty Hillesum wrote, "You, God, cannot help us, but we must help you and defend your dwelling place inside us to the last." Centuries before her, Nicholas of Cusa declared that God is all he is able to be. Pardon me. Now that's a phrase that needs unpacking, and I'm quoting Kearney here. Unlike the God of metaphysical omnipotence, which seeks to justify evil as a part of the divine will, the notion of God as enabling to be points in a radically different direction. Since God is all good, God is not able to be non-good, that is, defective or evil. In other words, God is not omnipotent in the traditional metaphysical sense that we're used to. The divine is not some being able to be all good and evil things. That is why God could not help Etty Hillesum and other victims of the Holocaust. God is not responsible for evil. And Hillesum understood this all too well when she turned the old hierarchies on their head and declared that it is we who must help God to be God. If Hillesum and others like her had not let God be God by defending the divine dwelling place of caritas within them, even in the most hellish moments of the death camps, there would have been no measure of love, albeit as small as a mustard seed, to defy the hate of the Gestapo. Many figures in literature echo this way of thinking about God. And the possible God relies on human beings to become God. The immortal Rainer Maria Rilke, in his letters to a young poet, wrote, "Why don't you think of him, that's God, as the one who is coming, the one who has been approaching from all eternity, the one who will someday arrive, the ultimate fruit of a tree whose leaves we are? What keeps you from projecting his birth into the ages that are coming into existence and living your life as a painful and lovely day in the history of a great pregnancy? Don't you see how everything that happens is again and again a new beginning? And couldn't it be God's beginning, since in itself starting is always so beautiful? If he is the most perfect one, must not what is less perfect precede him, so that he can choose himself out of fullness and superabundance? Must he not be the last one, so that he conclude everything in himself? And what meaning would we have if he whom we are longing for has already existed? As bees gather honey, so we collect what is sweetest out of all things and build him. Thus, Rainer Maria Rilke. So I think of little things and conclude with the first verse of a poem by Evelyn Underhill. I come in the little things, saith the Lord, not borne on morning wings of majesty, but I have set my feet amidst the delicate and bladed wheat that springs triumphant in the furrowed sod. There do I dwell in weakness and in power, not broken, saith our God. In your straight garden plot I come to flower. About your porch, my vine, meek, fruitful, doth entwine, waits at the threshold, love's appointed hour. Amen.